I miss PopCap Games, one of the most legendary puzzle game developers out there. PopCap Games is an American studio and was originally founded as Sexy Action Cool, and they probably should have kept that name. I mean, I would have bought anything with a developer name on it personally. They made some of the most iconic puzzle games to come out of the late 2000s and early 2010s, like Bejeweled, Peggle, and their most active series to this date, Plants vs Zombies. And all of these are just bangers. They've got some lesser known but still popular games well like Zuma and Bookworm, and arguably their most iconic game, Foxy Poker, a strip poker game which is now lost media. How could we lose the most important thing ever in history? Nowadays, PopCap has been reduced to a Plants vs Zombies machine. They're also bought by Satan in 2011, which I do think reduced their game output a lot. I think it also ruined them a lot. Like I said earlier, all they do now is Plants vs Zombies, with their last non-PvZ game coming out in 2016. This is worse when you see that Plants vs Zombies are almost entirely a different beast nowadays, with the main franchise being third-person shooters being Garden Warfare 1, 2, and Battle for Neighborville. And this is all in addition to Plants vs Zombies 3, one of the more standard Plants vs Zombies games, having one of the weirdest development cycles I've ever seen. It started development in 2016, getting a soft launch in February 2020, then because of criticism due to the monetary multiplayer system they restarted development, and then it was relaunched in 2021, put on hold and then relaunched again in 2024, only to be taken offline again. Oh shit, I haven't spoken about the first game yet. Plants vs Zombies is arguably PopCap's biggest game, with it being an instant success upon its release in 2009. While the franchise grew to be its own thing, I just want to talk about the first game and my experience with it. Garden Warfare is cool. I used to play it on the Xbox 360 with those like 2-day trial cards because my parents refused to pay for online for a console. I don't blame them actually. Plants vs Zombies 2 is its own thing that has a Zack Scott's game series that would make it onto the Wikipedia page for longest running TV shows, and Plants vs Zombies 3 doesn't exist anymore. I remember getting the first game for Christmas in about 2012 for my shitty old laptop that I ended up frying the motherboard to. I think there's something so enjoyable about Plants vs Zombies in every aspect of it. There's a lot of strategy to getting new plants to put down and figure out the optimal setup to make sure zombies don't get in your house and kill you. Plants can work in harmony to create awesome combos, like using the walnut and potato mine to kill zombies with the pogo stick or pole vault, which does tie into PopCap's puzzle element roots as well. But for me, really, I just like this game because of the pea shooters filling the screen with their shots. It's so satisfying to just barely finish a wave then get a new toy to play with. Along with this, the mini games are incredibly fun, like the walnut bowling one. And the character this game has, I mean, it's incredible. Crazy Dave goes down in history as one of the most iconic gaming characters ever. Even the zombies with their seemingly random designed outfits have so much time that you can instantly recognize them for being from this game. Speaking of something so iconic from this game, this soundtrack is incredible. I don't know how Laura Shigahara is able to cook this much, but holy shit, every single song in this game is fire. I especially love the song that plays when you unlock a new item. It's so silly. But yeah, like I said, Plants vs Zombies is in a bit of a weird spot right now as the third game was delisted and the majority of games released in the last 10 years have been Garden Warfare. Much like Peggle. Peggle is one of the most iconic puzzle game series, and besides the giant that is Plants vs Zombies, is one of the most spoken about PopCap games. You got all these balls on the screen and you gotta use your balls. You got all these balls on screen, you gotta use your balls to get all the orange balls off the screen. It's a very simple gameplay loop, but it's pretty addicting, and I'm terrible at it. I've actually played Peggle a lot because of the old orange box themed one. Yeah, back on my Valve shit already, I know. Basically, Valve included a themed version of Peggle that had art from their games, the orange box, and it's so weird seeing all the innocentness of Peggle clash against that. I don't know what I could say about Peggle besides it's a fun pachinko game that goes for like $1 on Steam. So, I don't want to offend any of the hardcore Bejeweled fans out there, but Bejeweled always felt like an airplane game to me. You know when you're on a plane and they got those crappy movies and like music for whatever reason and these shitty games, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, except I'm goated at that. I always see it as one of those games. That's probably not a fair diagnosis to give it. I mean, this is arguably one of the most influential games of all time as it greatly popularized the match 3 genre, which would plague the app stores within the mid-2010s. But man, I just don't really care for Bejeweled at all. Like, yeah, it's fine, it's a match 3 game, and for its time, it's super cool and innovative. I love matching colors and shit. The way the game looks always had this weird outer worldly feeling for me, which I don't know if I loved or wanted to cry watching. I think Bejeweled's success does highlight how every major series that PopCap were releasing at the time were going off. Bejeweled had many games in its series. I think the first one's the best in my opinion. I love the simplicity, but what's this pixelless level of success? What the fuck is Pixelus? Zuma is my favorite PopCap game series. I remember when I was like 7 or 8, my mom had this big ass computer running Windows 8 that would always crash, and she would play Zuma's Revenge on instead of doing her work and yelling at me when I was watching Markiplier play FNAF 2 and it blue screened a bunch. Zuma is a pretty simple puzzle game and you play as Zuma, a frog statue thing, and you shoot colored balls at colored balls to make at the minimum a match 3. It's kind of like Bejeweled, but all the balls slowly go towards a hole. If they get in the hole, it's game over. It's simple, fun, and addictive, and tests your sharp reflexes. The theming of this game is also super interesting, taking place in the Aztec with a Polynesian cultural mix. Zuma's also ported on everything, including planes, but I haven't found a plane that has it yet, so I'm a bit disappointed. Though once again, it's definitely my favourite of the PopCap franchises. Bookworm Adventures I think I played as a kid. This is a very Australian thing, but I think everyone might relate to this. Do you remember going to like Officeworks or whatever tech store you had as a kid, and they had all these computers for children to play on while their parents got like a new desk or something? I remember playing Purple Place and Bookworm Adventures on one of these, and I don't know man, it's Bookworm Adventures, it's a worm spelling shit over the world and defeating enemies. Its biggest day cultural moment was when Video Game Donkey kept being asked to play it. I think the bottom line with all of these games was that PopCap's innovation on the video game industry has been forgotten to time. They're one of the biggest developers to come out of the App Store in 2010 like Rovio that consistently had hit after hit after hit that genuinely revolutionized the puzzle game genre, like Zuma, Peggle, and Bejeweled. Beyond that, they also created a hit series of Plants vs Zombies, but their purchase by EA seemed to really calm them down a lot and turn them into Plants vs Zombies machine, which is sad. There are so many games by them that they put out before they were acquired, and no one is ever going to talk about them ever, which is really sad to me. Like yeah, sure, I brought Pixelus up earlier, but that's a real game published by PopCap that you probably had no idea about. Each PopCap game has the same amount of charm as the last, even if it was a big hit or not. I love PopCap games, and yeah, while I'm still working on Plants vs Zombies 3 and putting stuff out for that franchise, I miss them.